Hey everybody, Matt Johnston here, and we're back with a federal legislative update that affects small business. So, most of you have probably seen the news that the American Recovery Plan Act has been finalized, and President Biden is going to sign it. As of this recording, he had not yet signed it. So there's a lot of things that are involved in here that affect small business owners. So the first up is the FFCRA Leave, which is the Family First Coronavirus Act, Coronavirus Response Act leave. This is federal paid leave. So the question is that mandatory or voluntary? It will remain voluntary. And it will remain voluntary through September 30th, 2021. So it's a little bit later this year. That also happens to coincide with the end of the federal fiscal year. I have absolutely no predictions on whether or not it will be extended. I tend to think it won't be, largely because it involves tax credits, and tax credits are expensive for the government because it means they're not getting any of the money in. So I do expect that it will be phased out at that point. The Bank of Leave, which is 10 days of federal FFCRA paid leave, that 10 days gets reset on April 1. So in just a few weeks, April 1, 2021, everybody's account resets to 10 days, but it's still voluntary. So that only applies for businesses with fewer than 500 employees. If you've got more than 500 employees, hey, I could use a new client. But if you have more than 500 employees, the FFCRA paid leave does not apply to you. One question that I got is, do I have to give FFCRA leave for somebody to go get vaccinated? Well, first of all, remember, it's voluntary. And second of all, you kind of want somebody to go out and get that vaccination. So even if you aren't giving FFCRA leave, you may want to consider giving them the leave to go get it. So the tax credits that we want to talk about have been modified a little bit. The maximum tax credit that you can apply for is $200 per day. So if you have an employee whose daily wage is more than $200, you're capped at $200. If it's less than $200 a day, so maybe they're an hourly worker and they make $20 an hour, 8 hours is $160, you would be capped at $160. So it's whatever the daily rate is up to $200 per day, and up to $12,000 total per employee for family leave wages. And that's an increase, it's a 20% increase, so it's up from $10,000. So there are some modifications as well that would allow qualifying paid family leave to allow a business to claim family leave payroll tax credits for all qualifying uses of paid sick time, including leave provided if the employee is subject to a quarantine or isolation order due to COVID-19 or is caring for someone under a quarantine or isolation order. So keep that in mind. I do want to point out that this leave has to be available for everyone. And I repeat, everyone. You can't just say, oh, well, full-time employees will get the leave, or C-suite employees will get the leave, or certain classes of employees will get the leave. No. If you are going to offer it, you have to offer it, and it has to be available to everyone. But remember, it is voluntary at this time, so a company is not required to provide it. However, you do have to be mindful that your state, particularly Maryland, does have a Safe and Sick Leave Act policy. So you may be, even though you're not required to provide the paid federal leave, you may also be subject to other paid federal or paid state leave requirements. I'm going to put a link to the entire bill as it's been enrolled down below. So if you're really looking for a cure for insomnia, I highly encourage it. Now, a question that I did get is about the $15 minimum wage. That was stripped out, so it is not in this bill. So the $15 federal minimum wage will be discussed, I can guarantee it. The House at least will pass a bill that will require raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The question is going to be when they're going to do that. So be mindful of that. And the last thing is, and although this doesn't directly affect businesses, there will be a $300 weekly unemployment benefit that will be provided by the federal government to supplement state-based unemployment. So if you happen to be in the state of Maryland, and the maximum weekly benefit here in the state of Maryland is $430 per week. So with the federal boost, it will be up to an additional $300 a week, or a total of $730 available. And that will be available through Labor Day, interestingly enough, not through the end of the fiscal year. So not that it matters, it's only 3 weeks, but there you go. So be mindful that many of the changes that were concerned about did come to pass. The FFCRA is expanded, unemployment is expanded, which may impact the ability to bring workers back if they're able to make more money on unemployment. But there is going to be a push both at the federal level and now much more at the state levels to get businesses returned back to relative normal. So be mindful, if you have not applied for a second draw of PPP or Paycheck Protection Program loans, those things are available and you should contact your lending institution. If you have any questions about this law, well, I don't need a cure for insomnia, but I will be trying to get through as much of it as I can over the next few weeks. If you have any specific questions, leave them down below in the comments or send us an email or schedule a consult with us. In the meantime, stay safe out there and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.